On this episode of TQA Weekly, I talk about the darknet and Comcast's problem with it. This episode of TQA Weekly is brought to you by the TQA Weekly store. Great gifts that support the show. My name is Steve Smith, this is TQA Weekly, the website's tqaweekly.com, the email address is ask@tqaweekly.com, and if ever you're watching on YouTube, Blip.tv, Vimeo, or anywhere else I post it every single week, you can always post your questions down below. Today's topic is all about the darknet, and the reason why I want to talk about the darknet is in the recent news articles, the company Comcast actually came under fire because it was harassing clients because they were using the Tor browser, which allows them to use an anonymized version of the internet known as the darknet. So first, the majority of the darknet is unindexed by commercial search engines because it can't even be indexed. It can't be linked to, it's not necessarily linked from, it has contextual constraints based on type of browser and IP ranges, and a whole bunch of crazy security that goes around it that actually allows you to actually access these websites anonymously. However, you don't necessarily have to be anonymized. Any page that is hard to navigate to or requires registration to access is technically part of the darknet. So even on the open internet, websites like Facebook are technically by definition the darknet. The second you leave the front page of Facebook and have to log in, you can't technically be, indexed. So in this way, it's part of the actual darknet. Secondly, the majority of the darknet sites are not just accessible using anonymizer browsers. You can actually access them by their IP addresses over the public internet because of the way the internet works. Third, provided by Tor, the darknet does have its own domain name scheme that is actually finishes with .onion. It's a hashing algorithm. It doesn't technically have names that you can pick, and it's actually automatic. Requires 3 nodes instead of 2 domain name servers, but it is technically free. Fourth, it is possible to access Tor hidden services by using Tor2Web, which was actually created in part thanks to Aaron Swartz and Virgil Griffith. And lastly, in the majority of the world, use of I2P, Tor, and Freenet, all 3 anonymized types of browsers that actually allow you to actually connect to the anonymous internet of the darknet. Use of these is actually completely legal. And there's a very fundamental reason why it is completely legal. First, most of them are based on the torrent protocol. Most of these also use secure socket layering. And on top of all that, the combination of both technologies, which are both also legal, allows for your connection to be completely anonymous by not pulling information from any one specific place or by any one specific path, which makes all of the metadata kind of useless to collect and really hard to collect. This makes companies like Comcast and other ISPs and even government agencies pissed off because this is, for all intensive purposes, legal in just about every single democratic country in the world. And in places where it is not legal, it's one of the only means in which people have freedom of expression away from oppression and tyranny that actually allows for the people to actually come together and go against those who would actually prevent them from having some of the most basic human rights in the world. And despite having black markets like the Silk Road and terrorist groups sharing their propaganda over the internet, the darknet, for all intensive purposes, has most of the internet actually inside of it. Over 95% of it, public internet, it only accounts for 5%, by the way, and it has pretty much all the same information, only you get to access it in a way that you feel more secure, and you are technically less likely to be spotted by government agencies and other people that would wish you ill harm. It's also very, very hard to actually profit on you in this way, which is probably why companies like Comcast don't like it. They can't take your information when you're over an anonymized server and actually sell it to anybody because there's nothing to sell whatsoever. So if you thought this show was very interesting, remember to subscribe, like, and share with those that you think would actually benefit from this. Have a great day and goodbye.